Okay, folks, and Perrotta's into the waiting room here. Sorry for technical difficulty. I'll let that part out. Okay, folks, we're going to talk Jeopardy here. For those of you who don't know, that I said before, Alex Trebek passed away.
JB!
Man, you got a beard on you like Ryan Fitzpatrick. Holy crap.
Hey! Look what I got, though.
Yeah, look what I got.
I knew you'd have some gear on.
How you
know
doing,
what?
bud?
In honor of your win, here's what I'll do. I'll put it backwards so you don't have to look at the logo.
You look like Ryan Fitzpatrick on Venice Beach. Holy crap!
Oh yeah, you haven't seen me since I got the beard going.
You had the dad beard, man. I've seen the pictures with you and even little Wesley. How you do? I got the hair growing out the back too.
I'm trying to get the ponytail, bud. You're looking sharp, bud. You're keeping yourself up in this pandemic, unlike me, huh?
Oh yeah, what? Are barbershops still closed out that way?
You know what's ironic, Jay? I cut my own hair, so it's like there's no excuse for me to have my hair this long. Anyway, I'm just taking the excuse.
Oh dang it! All right, well, folks, Adam Perrotta is on the Keep It to Yourself podcast. First time ever on Zoom. First time we haven't done an in-person recording.
High tech. I like how you've pivoted your approach to go high tech in the pandemic environment.
Yeah, so before we get to Jeopardy, how has parenting been in the pandemic? I know you got the little Wesley. Happy birthday to him, by the way. He got 1 year. Was 1 year old recently.
Yep, he was 1 year old on about 3 weeks ago. So he's coming up on 13 months. So it's been quite a experience. It seems like that first year, in a way, it felt like it was about 10 years, and in a way, it felt like it was about a month.
I could add that many years to your life. Holy crap, way you look. I mean, not to insult you or anything, but...
Well, you can see the gray here, Jay. I don't know if you can see it. Wait, now, is this a video? Is this going to be a visual podcast or just audio?
Well, I say the videos for my own edification. This is like going to be more audio for me than anything else.
So your listeners won't be able to see my gray hair that's creeping in. That's good.
Well, they can just envision it. Yeah, you told them. All right, well,
gray-haired Ryan Fitzpatrick.
There you go. All right. Well, anyway, we're here for to memorialize a titan of television who passed away recently, and somebody who you had contact with many years ago, Alex Trebek, who passed away.
R.I.P.
Yep. Just a week or so ago, he left us at the age of 80 after losing a well-publicized battle with pancreatic cancer. And Adam, you were on Jeopardy many years back, so we're going to talk about that. So, for anybody who goes on the Jeopardy and wants to go, how do they do that? They take the test, right?
They take the test. Now, you say it was a while ago, and I was thinking, I actually had to look back to see when my episode was on, and it was 9 years ago, a little over 9 years ago. It aired on October, I think, 7th, 2011, but I taped it at least maybe 2 months before that.
So that was one of the first tapings you had for that season.
And it was right when around the time, I don't know if you remember, if Jeopardy fans will remember this, it was when Alex had his bum ankle.
Yeah, I posted on your Facebook and you said you take that off, man. You told me to take that off.
What was it? I forget exactly what happened.
I think he was in San Francisco. He was chasing after some robber, then he rolled his ankle while he was trying to, I don't know, subdue
the story was a little bit suspect. It was like he had chased some young woman out of his hotel room, but she was allegedly a burglar. I don't know. We didn't ask too many questions about the story, but
there was some.
He hurt his Achilles or something, so he was laid up.
Oh yeah, ACL. That's a bad injury. Ask Dak Prescott. You don't want that injury.
So actually, yeah, it was funny. It was kind of a precursor to, I don't know if you've been watching, but they've been filming. For, up until he passed away, they were filming in the, under quarantine, social distancing. So he stands over at the podium and talks to the
6 feet away
contestants. And that's how it was kind of when I was on, but just because he couldn't really walk over there, he couldn't move very well.
It wasn't because of coronavirus. It was because he had a bum ankle. He had a bum wheel, as they say.
Exactly. So.
All right. So.
The process was kind of, as best I can remember. And it's probably different now. I would imagine, well, maybe it's the same. I took a test, I don't know how long before that. It must have been like, every now and then they have the sort of open call for tests for contestants, who are aspiring contestants. And I probably took it, I want to say 6 months before, something like that, online. I had taken it a couple times in the past and evidently didn't do well enough to get the call for the in-person audition. But this time, luckily enough, I did. And a couple months after that, after the online test, you go in. I think it was at a hotel, maybe over in Century City here in LA, somewhere. I forget where it was. And you do a written test. So there's about a few dozen, probably 100 people, if I remember correctly, are there. And you take a written test, and then you play sort of a little mock game.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the goal of that is to kind of see, how you do in a live environment. If you're not too much of a weirdo to put on TV. I don't know why they let me on. I evaded that screening criteria, I guess.
I bet you did.
So evidently that went well enough. And then a couple months after that, I got a call. I was actually in Saratoga, I remember. I was home. So actually it must have been the summer, because I was in Saratoga.
Oh yeah, we met up a couple of times that summer.
I think it was the summer I graduated from graduate school. So I was back in Saratoga, and I got a call, and I knew I think it was like somehow I knew it was the Jeopardy's number, because it was from wherever their office is. Forget what it would have been. But I
Brian, the Sony Studios in Los Angeles.
Yeah, Culver City. That's right. So I think it was the Culver City number on my phone, and so I missed the call, but I had a feeling it was Jeopardy. So I was quite excited and listened to the voicemail, and they said, hey, we'd like to have you on the show. And they gave me the date, which was, again, I don't remember exactly the timeline of all this, but it was like, it was a month or two out. So I got a couple months of last minute prep in. I remember the funny thing though was I had just moved into a new apartment. Amy and I had just moved into our first new apartment, literally like 2 days after we moved in. I had to go and be on Jeopardy. So I was kind of in the midst of a, kind of a chaotic couple days in the life, or at least what counted for chaos then before having a baby in a pandemic.
Oh yeah. So. my sister and brother-in-law can tell you, having the kid of their own, that caused a good deal of chaos.
So yeah, so then I went in. What a lot of people don't realize is when you watch a show, 1 week of shows, so Monday to Friday in any given week, is all 1 day of taping. So they actually, at least at the time, I don't know if it's the same now, they only filmed 2 days a week, I believe. It was Monday, and I think it was Monday and Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And so you go Monday, they film 5 episodes for 1 week, and then the next day they film the 5 episodes for the second week, which was something that I hadn't really known, I don't think, until I went and actually, figured out how it was all going to work. Oh
yeah. So were you on like the Monday or the Tuesday tapings from what you?
That's a good question. I don't remember. But I remember my episode was the Friday episode, the one that aired Friday.
So that's the last one they taped that particular day.
I was the last one to be taped in that day, which meant I had got to watch June Pak destroy everybody else. And then me and the other guy, it was just we were the only ones left. And we said, I guess it's our turn to go up and get mowed down by the trivia master.
Yeah, it could have been worse. You could have had Jeopardy James Holzhauer.
That would have been, that would have been bad too. It's funny because he almost lost the game right before me, I remember.
Ooh, we could have had a new champion.
We could have had a new champion, and I forget, he somehow pulled it out. I forget the details, but when that happened, me and this other guy looked at each other and we said, well, I guess we're done. I almost pretended that I was sick. I remember. I almost said, I don't want to face this guy. Let me fake an illness and have him send me home, and then hopefully, they'll have me come back when it's not so much of a buzzsaw that I'll have to play against. But I went through with it, and I took my medicine. My one thing that I wanted to accomplish was I didn't want to get the dreaded, be in the red at the end of Double Jeopardy and not get to participate in Jeopardy. That would have brought great shame upon many people. So. And I also didn't have to do math. That was the other thing I was worried about. So the wagering strategy, there's a lot of ins and outs to the wagering strategy in Final Jeopardy, assuming you're more than 50% of the guy in first total. So I wasn't up to that. So there's no way me or the other guy could have won. So I didn't have to worry about making any wagering error. So that was a good silver lining too.
Well, we watched that night. Well, I remember watching that night. You gave it your best, and a number of our mutual friends and those in our circle, they watched that night too, from what I recall.
Oh yeah, I remember there were some watch events. Hopefully I didn't embarrass the Capital Region too much.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you did the 518 proud, even though You did get mowed down by June Park. It was like almost like Apollo Creed, that scene in Rocky IV where he takes the punch from Ivan Drago and he gets knocked down. James Brown's there to witness it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for that analogy, Jay. That's another way for me to envision as I reimagine my failure.
I must break you.
He was a nice guy too. I wish I could say June Park was an a-hole, but he was actually a nice guy. You interact with all the other contestants who are there for the whole week, for the week's taping. So I remember talking to him a little bit before our match. I think he still does. He's a New York Times, a very well-known New York Times.
I've done a few of his crossword. I've done a few of his New York Times Sunday crosswords. Easy for me to say.
Yeah, so we talked about that a little bit. And matter of fact, I believe the week that my episode was on with against him, he also, I think it was that day, his crossword was in the New York Times.
Whoa.
So, yeah, it was really like a double whammy of nerd accomplishments.
Wowee. So he got to mow you and the other guy down, and he had a crossword published in the New York Times. So double shot.
Exactly. But he was a nice guy. I think he was a professor at, I want to say MIT. He was a young guy, but he was a professor of something at MIT. And I remember whenever he got like there was one game, not my game, one of the games before mine, where there was a whole category on math, and he got one. There was a daily double, and he was way ahead. And he bet it all just because he knew he was so good at math. And of course, he got it and doubled up.
Yeah, he was like Jeopardy James, like all in.
Exactly. That was Yep, exactly. He didn't have any.
Sorry. So
he didn't have any, catchphrases or gestures at that time.
Jeopardy James took care of that 8 years later, so it was a long ways off. So, as people who watch the show know, after the first commercial break, Alex will go and interview all the contestants, and obviously you were in the third position. You were in the far right, so he got to you first. Yep. Do you recall what he asked you? Because you have this little questionnaire of like, well, if you get on the show, what are some things that Alex would want to talk to you about?
Yes, and it's funny because they ask you for 4 or 5 different anecdotes or things, leading questions, and then Alex picks among them which one he wants to talk about. And I had 4 kind of standard issue ones. I forget what they were, but they were, a little more highbrow than the one he chose, which was the 5th one that I added because I couldn't think of anything else. And it was about how me and my buddy from college used to play Jeopardy as a drinking game. So, of course, Alex had a little bit of a ribald sense of humor a little bit, So he, of course, chose that one. And so I explained how we used to play Jeopardy as a drinking game. And my one buddy, I don't know if he listens to this podcast, but my buddy Green, he was famously bad at Jeopardy. But he really liked to play, and because he liked to get drunk and have it be for a reason other than just that he wanted to get drunk. So that was a little anecdote I told. But then I think I was totally overshadowed by the guy in the second podium, who told some story about how I forget, he used to work for some financial company, and they got recruited by the CIA or the FBI or something that had something to do with Pablo Escobar's finances that he was like involved in unraveling. So my little innocent drinking Jeopardy story kind of got overshadowed. Got
blown out of the water by Andres Escobar, Colombian drug lord.
And then June Park told some boring story because he had already won about 5 or 6 games and ran through all his interesting stories.
Yeah. Ken Jennings would have felt like he had like that amazing streak many years back, and like
I don't have that many stories, let alone.
I wasn't expecting to be here this long.
Yeah, I think by the end, I remember they were just asking him what it was like to be on. Well, so now he's got the favorite to take over for Trebek.
Yeah, but I did hear like LeVar. There's a campaign to get LeVar Burton in the spot. I've heard George Stephanopoulos might take over. There's his name's been thrown out there.
I got a guy who might be good, a bit of a dark horse candidate. He's a very successful podcast host. New York. I'm just putting it out there.
Put the feelers out. Thanks, Ace. Appreciate it. All right. Well,
it's a pretty good gig. You only work 2 days a week.
I think if you can get it.
The pay is pretty good.
I'll bet it is. Well, I'll tell you, Alex is going to be very hard. His shoes are going to be very difficult to fill. And when you heard that Alex had passed away, what was your reaction immediately?
Well, it's funny because I remember, not funny, but I remember, the story that he had cancer. That's been around, that broke a couple years ago, it seems like.
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like that long ago. But I hadn't heard anything about it. And the last thing I heard was that he was, had improved quite a bit and things were kind of looking up. And then this kind of came out of nowhere. So I guess that's how that works, though. It just goes once it goes downhill, it goes downhill pretty quickly. So I read somewhere, I think that the last episode, I don't know if you saw this, but the last taping was sometime I think it was like mid-October. It was a very short time ago.
Mm-hmm.
He must have been well enough to tape then. So yeah, it was kind of a surprise. It was in a year full of surprises and unwelcome news. It was kind of one more thing to add to the shitty list.
Right, exactly. So, and well, he's taped all his episodes going through right about the end of the year. I think the last one's going to air Christmas Day or Christmas night.
I saw that. That'll be a nice gift to all the Jeopardy fans out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was an icon. He was amazing. I remember watching Jeopardy. I don't know how old I was, but it was always on at 7:30 because it airs. See, here it airs at 7. It never, depending on what market you're in, it's right back to back with Wheel of Fortune.
Yep, same here. It airs at 7:30 right here in the Capital Region.
7:30 there in the Capital Region. Yeah, I think here it's on before Wheel of Fortune. I don't know. I DVR. I don't watch it live, but
yeah.
So yeah, he was a constant presence in the Perrotta household.
And same at Bullet House too.
Yeah, and still actually to this day when I go back to and stay at my parents, we always put Jeopardy on, and it's good that I think the show will still be on, but obviously it won't be the same without Alex. So
100 indeed. So all right, one last one here before we wrap up here. Who do you reckon is your favorite Jeopardy champion of all time?
Oh well, I mean, I gotta say June Pak because he beat me, right?
There you go, Honor. There you go, man. He beat you. Why not?
He was, he was. I could say that I would have beaten anybody else except June Pak. So who's to know that's not true? I remember watching. I was kind of heartened by the fact that I don't know that he won the Tournament of Champions, but he did really well in the Tournament of Champions that year.
Yes, he did, man. Yeah, he. Some of us who watched thought James Holtzauer or even Brad Rutter were going to take it down, but Ken Jennings, he took it down in the very end.
Well, I'm talking the June Pak though. So you know how they have it every year? They have just the yearly tournament.
Oh, the Tournament of Champions.
And I was a little worried that he was going to not do well, and so I would look bad by proxy because he beat me so easily. But he actually he did really well in that too. So I said, all right, he probably would have beaten most Jeopardy champions anyway. So.
How do you think?
I had a dream before I went on. I only remembered this after. Before I went on, I had a dream that I played a guy and who was just like a buzzsaw. And I watched that nightmare sort of slowly come true the day of. So I think he won 4 or 5 games after me. So I think he wound up winning 10, at least maybe 10 or 11 games. So he was quite the champion.
Yeah, well, we're over a year, or about a year removed from when I believe it was James Holtzauer and Emma Botcher, I believe her name is. I don't know. This woman named Emma, they had quite the battle in the Tournament of Champions this time last year.
I remember that. Yeah, he was real good. And this was kind of before. It seems like it's gotten the James Holtzauer strategy of, going all over the board and betting big on daily doubles. That's kind of a more recent phenomenon. June Pak was kind of in that era. It was still played pretty straightforward. You go start at the highest one in the category and go down. Other than the math daily double, I remember he wagered pretty conservatively on daily doubles. So kind of a different game as far as the betting strategy and the question picking strategy. But it was a fun experience. And now that so the urban legend always was that if you're on once, you can't be on again as long as Trebek is the host. Now, Trebek's not the host anymore. I don't want to say that that's a positive thing for me, but could theoretically maybe go back on. I don't know, and avenge my loss.
Well, we'll see. Stranger things have happened, especially in this year. And there you have it right there, folks. So, well, Apes, I'm going back here to the beginning, we used to do like once a year for the auditions. Now it's like you can take the test anytime you want, on demand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I think started earlier this year, if not late last year. They said they're going to do the test you can take the Jeopardy test anytime you want, day or night.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's like a rolling thing.
Yeah, I think I took mine about sometime in the spring. I mean, just like all the other times, Haven't heard back from him, but I know when I finally do get the call, it's not going to be the same with Alex not being the host anymore.
Yeah. That's good to know though that you can take it whenever. I haven't taken it obviously because there's been no point in me taking it since I was on, but maybe I'll take it just for fun one of these
Just for
days.
funsies. All right. Well, it's great talking to you about Alex Trebek and Jeopardy and your appearance and being on stage with the great man. The fact that we all walk the same terror as him. I truly appreciate you coming to us over the Zoom from Los Angeles, California. And it's a nice
Sure
little.
thing, JB.
That's a nice little
You want to
office.
hang on the line for a little bit? We'll have a little off the record convo. See what's going on.
Just a few minutes here. All right. We'll take it offline. We'll say goodbye to our listeners. And Adam, thanks for coming on. We'll pause the recording as soon as we say goodbye to the listeners.
All right, listeners. I'll talk to you probably for our annual Christmas episode.
We'll take it to the Zoom as well.
All right, JB. Sounds good.